Two tubs sit there, staring right back at you. One says protein, the other says creatine. One, budget. Your hand reaches for protein. It always does. Why? Muscles are made of protein. That logic feels bulletproof. But that logic is wrong. Completely, scientifically, provably wrong. And understanding why will change how you train forever. Most people never learn what actually triggers muscle growth. They assume more protein means more muscle. It doesn't. The real trigger is a signal, not a nutrient. Your muscle cells need a reason to grow first. Without that signal, extra protein just gets burned off. Creatine works on the signal side of muscle growth. Protein works on the repair side after growth is triggered. They are not competitors. They don't even play the same game. Once you understand the difference, the choice becomes obvious. Today, we are running a full head-to-head comparison. Mechanism of action, timing, who benefits most, final verdict. This is not based on supplement labels or marketing. This is exercise physiology broken down into plain language. By the end, you will know exactly what to buy. Let us start at the very beginning, inside your muscle. Every time you lift something heavy, your muscles burn ATP. ATP is the energy currency your muscle cells run on. Think of it as a tiny rechargeable battery inside you. One hard burst of effort drains that battery completely fast. Your body stores enough raw ATP for 5 to 10 seconds. That's it. After that, the battery dies on you. You physically cannot maintain the same force output anymore. This is the exact moment creatine becomes your best friend. Creatine sits inside your muscle cells holding a spare charge. It carries an extra phosphate group ready to donate instantly. The moment ATP gets spent and becomes ADP, creatine acts. It hands over that phosphate and snaps ATP back together. Battery recharged. You squeeze out one more rep, maybe two. 1 or 2 extra reps does not sound like much, but over weeks and months it compounds into something massive. More total reps at the same weight means more mechanical work. Mechanical work is the actual trigger that causes muscle growth. Not the supplement, not the shake. The work is everything. Creatine supplementation boosts your stored reserves by 20 to 40%. Your muscles literally hold more backup fuel for explosive efforts. That means more work per session, every single session, every week. That is how creatine builds muscle, indirectly, but powerfully and consistently. Now let's talk about what protein powder actually does. When you drink a protein shake, your gut breaks it down. It gets broken into individual amino acids your body can use. The most important amino acid for muscle building is leucine. When leucine hits a threshold of about 2.5 grams, something activates. A cellular switch called mTOR gets flipped on inside your cells. Think of mTOR as the foreman on a construction site. When the foreman arrives, the entire crew gets to work immediately. The crew starts building new muscle proteins from the ground up. These proteins are actin and myosin, the actual fibers of muscle. This entire process is called muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. So here's the clean split between these two supplements. Creatine does not build muscle directly. It lets you work harder. The harder work sends the signal triggers the growth. Protein does not make you stronger inside the gym at all. Protein gives your cells the raw bricks to rebuild afterward. One operates on the input side, the other on the output. They aren't even competing. They're sequential steps in one process. But creatine has a second trick most people never hear about. This second mechanism is just as powerful as the first. When creatine enters your muscle cells, it pulls water molecules inside.
Creatine is osmotically active. It attracts water like a sponge does. Your muscle cells physically swell with that extra water inside them. If you gained 1 to 2 kilograms in your first 2 weeks on creatine, this is exactly why. That weight is not fat. It is water inside your muscle fibers. Most people dismiss this and say it is just water weight, but your cells do not see it that way at all. When a muscle cell swells, sensors on its membrane detect the pressure. These sensors are called integrins, and they interpret swelling as a growth signal. The cell does not know water caused the swelling, it just responds. It ramps up protein production to match its newly enlarged size. So the water weight people brush off is triggering a real anabolic response. That is a second growth pathway from creatine, completely separate from reps. Two mechanisms, one cheap supplement, zero need for anything fancy. Now compare that to what happens with excess protein intake. Your body has a ceiling on how much protein it can use per meal. Research puts that ceiling at roughly 0.4 to 0.55 grams per kilogram of body weight. Anything above that ceiling gets burned for energy or simply excreted. It does not stack into extra muscle. It just disappears wastefully. Here's something most people do not realize about their diet. The average Western diet already delivers 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein per kilogram per day. The optimal range for building muscle is 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram. Many people are already close to optimal without any powder at all. Some people are already hitting the target through whole foods alone. Protein powder fills a gap that, for many people, is already small. Creatine fills a gap that food alone almost cannot close at all. You would need to eat 1 to 2 pounds of raw meat daily just to saturate your creatine stores through diet. Nobody does that. Nobody should have to do that. Supplementation solves it. Now, let's talk about how you actually use each one. Creatine has the simplest protocol in the entire supplement world by far. 5 grams per day, any time of day, with or without food. Morning, night, training day, rest day, none of that matters at all. Your muscles are not using today's creatine during today's workout session. They're drawing from the stores you've been building for weeks. Full saturation of your creatine stores takes about 28 days at 5 grams. There's a loading phase option where you take 20 grams daily for 5 to 7 days. That gets you to full saturation faster if you want speed, but it is completely unnecessary. You end up at the same place either way. Once your stores are fully saturated, 5 grams a day keeps them there. That is genuinely the entire protocol. Nothing complicated, nothing to overthink. Protein timing gets far more attention than it actually deserves in reality. You've probably heard of the anabolic window many times before. The idea is that you must drink a shake within 30 minutes of training, otherwise the workout is supposedly wasted. This is an exaggeration of the truth. The anabolic window is real, but it's not 30 minutes wide. It's more like 4 to 6 hours after your training session. And even that matters far less than your total daily protein intake. If you're hitting 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram spread across meals, you have maximized muscle protein synthesis. Each meal should contain at least 2.5 grams of leucine. Do that consistently, and you have covered the full 24-hour window. The shake after the gym is fine, but dinner with chicken does the same job. Focus on the daily total. Stop obsessing over the 30-minute window. Now let's get personal. Who actually needs each supplement most? This is where the answer becomes individual rather than universal for everyone. If you eat a plant-based diet, your baseline creatine stores are significantly lower than a regular meat eater. They're roughly 20 to 30% lower than a regular meat eater.
That means you have more room to fill and more to gain. Plant-based athletes will likely see the biggest performance jump from creatine supplementation. On the other hand, if you eat a lot of red meat already, you may be a low responder. About 20 to 30% of people fall into this low responder category. Their stores are already near full from dietary intake of creatine-rich foods. Creatine also shines brightest in activities involving repeated, short, powerful bursts. Resistance training, sprinting, high-intensity interval training, these are creatine's home territory.
If your primary activity is long-distance running or cycling, the benefit drops significantly. Creatine is not the right tool for every athlete in every sport. Protein powder flips the equation entirely depending on your situation and diet. It matters most for people who genuinely cannot hit protein targets with food alone. An older adult with a reduced appetite struggling to eat enough protein daily. An athlete burning through 4,000 calories who cannot stomach another chicken breast. Someone on a restricted diet who lacks access to diverse protein sources. A large meta-analysis found that protein supplementation added about 0.3 kilograms of lean mass over 13 weeks. That is real and meaningful, but only if your diet was already falling short. If you are already hitting your protein target, powder adds almost nothing. Picture this contrast clearly. An older adult who barely eats needs protein powder more than almost anyone else in the weight room. A vegetarian lifter needs creatine more than almost anyone else in the weight room. The answer is never which supplement is universally better for everyone. The answer is always which bottleneck is actually limiting your specific progress. Identify your bottleneck first, then choose the supplement that addresses it directly. And now we arrive at the verdict, the moment you have been waiting for. If you can only buy one supplement, creatine wins for most people who lift. Here is the core reason why this recommendation holds up under scrutiny. You cannot get enough creatine from food to fully saturate your muscle stores. You would need to eat 1 to 2 pounds of raw meat every single day. Your body naturally produces 1 to 2 grams of creatine on its own daily, but that's not enough to reach optimal muscle store saturation levels. The gap between what your body produces and what your muscles can hold is significant. Only supplementation can reliably close that gap for the average person efficiently. Protein is a completely different story when it comes to food sources. Chicken, eggs, dairy, beans, fish, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, lentils, you have dozens of whole food options that deliver exactly the same amino acids. Protein powder is a convenience tool, a useful one, but a convenience nonetheless. Creatine is a unique compound with no realistic whole food equivalent at optimal doses. The cost difference between these two supplements is also staggering and worth knowing. Creatine monohydrate costs approximately 3 to 7 cents per day to supplement. Protein powder costs 75 cents to $1.50 per serving. Systematic reviews show creatine increases strength gains by 5 to 10%. It also adds 1 to 2 kilograms more lean mass than training alone over 4 to 12 weeks. That is meaningful and measurable edge from something costing less than a stick of gum daily. Most people buy protein first because the logic feels intuitively correct to them. Muscles are made of protein, so feeding them protein must be the answer. Creatine does not feel like it's doing anything at all from the outside. You don't taste it working. There's no pump or tingle from it. Its benefit is invisible. It shows up quietly in the work you can do. More total reps per session, compounding over months into significantly more muscle gained. So here is exactly where you stand after everything you have just learned. These two supplements were never actually competing with each other to begin with. They work on completely different links in the exact same chain of muscle growth. Creatine fills your muscles with backup energy so you can do more work. That extra work is the mechanical signal that triggers your muscles to grow. Protein gives your cells the raw material to rebuild after that signal fires. One is the spark that starts the fire of muscle growth inside you. The other is the lumber you need to actually build something lasting afterward. You need both to build the house, but the spark comes first, always. And only one of them is impossible to get enough of through diet. Creatine monohydrate closes the dietary gap for just pennies per day consistently. Protein closes a gap you might already be closing through whole foods daily. So if your budget forces a choice, choose creatine and eat whole food protein.
5 grams of creatine daily plus a focus on real food protein sources. That combination is the sharper, smarter, more evidence-based play for most people. If you can afford both, absolutely use both. They are complementary, not redundant. But before you buy anything, track what you actually eat for 1 week. You might find your protein gap is much smaller than you ever assumed. You might find creatine is the only gap that actually needs closing right now. Think back to that supplement aisle one final time before you decide anything. 2 tubs, 1 budget. Your hand reaches for protein out of habit. Now you know why that instinct, though logical, was pointed in the wrong direction. The question was never which supplement builds more muscle in absolute terms. The question was always which bottleneck is your body actually stuck on right now. That answer is not printed on any label in any supplement store anywhere. It lives in your diet, your training history, and the biology you now understand. You walked into that aisle with an assumption. You were leaving with knowledge instead. And knowledge, compounded over months of smarter training, builds more muscle than any shake ever could.